Garen, risk manager. This is Deb.
I'm sure they can't see you, right?
How do I know?
Eric, it's Adam here. Can you hear?
I can hear you now. Sorry, I had no audio there for a moment, but I can hear you now.
Thank you, Eric. Can you give us an overview of the application?
Certainly. Before committee tonight is a minor variance application to permit the construction of a building, accessory building, for the purposes of a personal riding facility for horses. The zoning bylaw requires a maximum floor area of 200 square meters for accessory structures in the A4 zone. In this case, the applicant is proposing an accessory structure of 910 square meters. Agricultural uses are permitted by the county and township official plans, and so the proposed use of the building would be permitted under both of those policies. It's noted that the portion of the property is treed, and that portion is also designated under the county official plan as being a significant woodland. And typically this would require an environmental impact study to be completed to ensure that any development that takes place on the property wouldn't negatively impact natural heritage features. And so this was listed as a recommended condition of approval that an environmental impact study be completed. However, since the preparation of this report, new information has been provided. The proposed site of the structure has already been cleared in anticipation of a building permit being issued. However, at that time, it was noted by the chief building official that a minor variance would be required to permit the structure. It's also been noted that the county has a tree preservation bylaw in effect, and that after staff have consulted with county forest conservation officer, that the proposed clearing would meet the requirements of the bylaw. And so it's been recommended that the condition for the EIS be replaced by a condition that will require the owner to go through a process with the county forestry conservation office to ensure that it meets those requirements. The A4 zone is typically applied to lots that are smaller in size, where the dwelling is the primary use, but does permit agricultural uses accessory to that. The intent of the requirement for a maximum lot or maximum floor area for accessory structures is to ensure that these structures remain secondary to the primary use, which is the dwelling on a property, as well as also ensure compatibility with adjacent land uses, and that there's adequate space on the lot for it to properly function. And while the proposed accessory structure is larger than the requirements under the zoning bylaw, it is noted that the lot in question is considerably larger than other A4 parcels, and therefore wouldn't result in a negative impact on the property. It's not anticipated that the proposed structure would result in any impacts on adjacent properties. considering again the size of the lot as well as the location of the proposed structure. And so that the proposed size is appropriate for the desirable development of the lands. And so in review of this, minor variance is deemed to meet the 4 tests of a minor variance application. At the time of the submission of this report, no comments from agencies or the public were received on this application. And so it's recommended the application be approved as subject to the conditions that have been provided. That concludes our presentation. I'm happy to questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Is the applicant there with any additional information? Mr. McDonald,
What other information would you be looking for?
just anything you wish to add?
I don't believe so.
Did you give a comment?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So I did speak with Mr. McDonald this afternoon following consultation with the county's tree commissioner. So in front of council and the public looking at the agenda, in Eric Steele's report, there is recommended conditions and Eric has summarized them. The first 2 are recommended to remain unchanged, but it's the 3rd condition in front of council that requires an environmental impact study. In consultation with the county's tree commissioner, it is recommended that number 3, as it's written in front of council in the agenda and in Eric's report, be replaced with the following. And it reads that in acknowledgement that the owner has removed a significant portion of an existing woodlot in preparation for the desired barn enlargement, the owner shall work with the County of Elgin tree commissioner to establish a tree replanting plan. The tree replanting plan shall be established to the satisfaction of the County of Elgin tree commissioner prior to the issuance of any building permit as per condition number 1 above. So as I discussed, I did consult with the commissioner about that condition. I've spoke with Mr. McDonald this afternoon, and it's recommended that that condition be imposed as part of any approval of the committee for this minor variance.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Allison, was there any comments received?
Through your worship, there was no additional comments received.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in attendance wish to make comment? Any questions from council? Seeing none. Mover and seconder. Report number DS22 entitled Minor Variance Application number D13 MV 08 22, Christopher McDonald and affecting lands described on concession 11, part lot 21, RP 11, R 3975, part 1 in the township of Malahide, 47231 Lions Line be received. The Township of Malahide Committee of Adjustment approved the minor variance application number D13 MV 08 to permit an increased floor area for the accessory structure as amended, as we just talked about the woodlot. Okay, so there's no environmental assessment, but we just has to meet the replanting clause from the county tree commissioner. Okay. Do you have questions, Jess?
Mayor Manel, do we vote on this now, or do we see if the conditions are met of replanting trees that were taken down?
No, we approve the application, but a condition of the application is before there's a building permit issued, he has to meet the conditions from the county tree commissioner, which I don't know how many trees were removed, but usually the equivalent of that has to be planted somewhere else. Any other questions? Mover and seconder, please. Cerna, Widner, all in favor? Carried.
Can I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
So in regards, so it's you'll approve the permit or give me the permit, and it's an agreement between me and the conservation to how many trees are to be replanted. It's not that I have to have all these trees replanted before you approve a permit. Is that's how I'm reading into this?
Adam?
Through your worship and through to the applicant. So the way the process works, Mr. McDonald, the minor variance is approved, and that's with 3 conditions. The building permit will be issued to you for construction of the riding arena at such time that the county's tree commissioner has provided to his satisfaction that you've worked with him and have come to an agreement for a plan to replant. So as far as I know, and it is subject to the satisfaction of the tree commissioner, it's not necessarily that you need to plant the trees before you get permit issued. It's that you've entered into an agreement or some sort of plan, understanding with the county. All the township will be looking for is confirmation from the commissioner that he's reviewed, you've established a plan, and you can move forward on that basis. I hope that's clear.
That's just me and him discussing that, you know, whatever the plan is, and then it goes to you, Adam, and that's how I'm understanding this. So the contact information you provided today, I just talked to him, I create a plan, and he sends this to you guys. Do I send it? Like, how does that work?
Through you, your worship, through to the applicant, whether it's a discussion, whether it's an agreement, a written formal confirmation, it's the requirement of the county, not of the township. So what we will need, Mr. McDonald, is confirmation from the commissioner that he's satisfied, that the county's satisfied, and then we can issue a permit. I can't state what that might entail.
Okay.
Mover and seconder. Louis Glinski, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation. Dominique, you're next.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in honor of your last meeting as head of council, I would like to say a few words of appreciation, if I may. Thank you. We'll see if the technology will cooperate as well. No. Okay. So, one of the first times that I met Mayor Mennel, Dave, was actually in this council chamber when I came here as part of a delegation to make a presentation. And when I came in, I noticed that Dave was wearing a wonderful, nice, cozy, comfortable looking sweater. And I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. And in fact, like all of council was wearing these super nice, cozy looking sweaters. And I was a fairly new resident of Malahide at the time. And a friend of mine had just asked me, so what's it like, living in Malahide? How do you like your new community? And I had literally said, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like wearing a warm, cozy sweater. It's like, it's so welcoming and it's comfortable. And lo and behold, I come to council and the mayor is like wearing this sweater that I was envisioning. And I said, wow, this mayor has got it together. Like he's actually designed a dress code for council that is intended to like portray this vision of Malahide and how it should feel to live in Malahide. And I was blown away, I've got to say. Now I did come to learn a little while later that actually what I had witnessed was Sweater Day. And it's just one day of the year, for those who don't know, where council gives a nod to conservation, energy conservation, turn down the heat, and everybody wears a sweater. So, okay, so maybe my first impression and interpretation of Dave was a little bit off. But then fast forward a few years and I joined council and I got to work with Dave, got to know Dave, got to observe. And then I realized, maybe my interpretation was not that far off after all. Because, I mean, and Dave, I was the one who had to catch up to all of you, but Dave is that person, that warm, kind, generous person that you all know and I've come to know. And I mean, as a perfect example, I mean, we just have to look at his resume as evidence that Dave's a lifetime of wanting to be involved in the community and serving. So his resume, just we look by the numbers, and I hope I have all of those numbers right, because there are a lot. So we're looking at a total of 25 years on Township Malahide Council, and 35 years on the fire department, 6 of which as fire chief. I've also counted 12 years on county council. Just fast forward some of those pictures. So 12 years on county council, 2 of which as warden. And then there's all the involvement in different community organizations, and of course, like between curling and golf games, but still a lot of involvement in a lot of organizations in the community, always ready to give a helping hand. And I'm thinking of I think Knights of Columbus, your church, what else? The hospital board at one point, the Saint Vincent Paul Society, Christmas Care, I think is one that's really close to you. So obviously, I think, like I said, you get the picture. But just in case you're not convinced about Dave's generosity and how his desire to help the community and to serve the community is really, really, to me, what I admire is that it's really authentic and genuine. So just in case you're not convinced, have a look at this.
How can we resolve that? But what was the factor that really moved you to say, I'm going to do that? Why would you jump in?
I think it's probably in my genes. I'll never forget, and my grandfather was out in Glenworth and Belmont, and this is in the 50s. And at that time, there was what we call bums. You know, they have a pack sack over their back, and then we walk in the door, or they knock on the door, ask for a sandwich, and my granddad, gave him a ham sandwich, and he gave him $20. This is in late 50s. Like that's $200 today.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And so he left, and I said, Grandpa, that guy's probably going to drink it up. And he says, today might change his day.
Wow. Yeah. Your grandpa really understood grace and kindness.
So it's that sort of attitude that, said, you got to help your brothers and sisters in your community. So
yeah.
And my dad was in the same position. He had Club 7 in Elmer with the United Church, and was always involved in Rotary and in the community. And that's, if we all work together, we can make this world work.
Yeah, I agree. Man, how can we resolve that? But what was the factor?
Hang on. Trying to move to the next slide. So to me, that was the perfect example of how authentic and genuine that lifetime of wanting to make others feel warm and comfortable and welcome. So that's why I said I wasn't that far off with my first impression. But all of this warm and fuzziness, I don't want to ignore the fact that Dave, has strong opinions. He is opinionated, firm opinions on many topics. And in fact, I wouldn't put it past Dave to pull a Tom Brady and come out of retirement if he felt that Malahide was not going in the direction that he believes it ought to be. But if you do consider that, Dave, do consider how his wife took it. So just a thought. And speaking of which, if Dave wears the big comfy sweater that is Malahide, then let's all be clear. We know who wears the pants. So I think after 50 plus now, 52 years of marriage, we know that in fact, they do make, like, it's the perfect matching outfit. And Judy, I'm really happy that you're here, because I really wanted to make sure that we also publicly recognize your sacrifice, your service, directly and indirectly, to our community. We know that Dave could not have served Malahide the way he did without your support. And we also know that there were times when you literally carried him. So all of this to say that Dave and Judy, your impact on this township and on our community has been felt and will continue to be felt for many, many years. And for that, we're very grateful. And we just want to say thank you. And we do have a few more. So we have a number of certificates from Eric Vecchio, from Rob Black, and from all of us, of course. And we do have a special gift. And we do have something for you, Judy, as well. So I'm gonna give this to you. Judy, do you want to come up? Rob, you want to direct the picture the way you want it. You're the boss.
Judy, if you want to stand next to Dave, that's very good. Just like that. It's wonderful. And smile. Oh, we already smiled. That makes it easier. There we go. Thank you.
I'm gonna miss your mom.
You too.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to explain about the carrying them. We would like to know more about that picture.
So we were at the Elmer Fair and I was walking barefoot because I did that. At that time, David had his shoes on and we hit this great big puddle. And so I just said, oh, hop on my back. I'll take you across, because I wasn't gonna get my feet to get wet, but his shoes didn't get wet.
Yeah, and I think that was a metaphor for then all the years to come.
And it always rains at the Elmer Fair.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dominique, for all those kind words. So after 26 years of service, this is my last meeting of Malahide Council, and I'm ready to retire from active politics. I started in 1978, largely because there was only 2 kilometers of hard surface road in the township of Malahide, a little bit around the curve in Port Bruce, and for the first 10 houses in Roger Road, and that was it. That was all the hard surface road. So at the time, I had a 1970 Plymouth Duster that was full of stone chips. And I always had a coating of road dust, and I asked the reeve of the time, Bill Caverly, about getting hard surface roads. And Bill's reply was, we need to keep the taxes low for the widows. And I'm not sure why he profiled widows, but for sure, Bill was taking care of his constituents. And that was enough motivation for me to run for council. And I can proudly say today that most of the roads in Malahide Township are tar and chip. I can honestly say I won't miss all the meetings, and I won't miss scheduling my time around council meetings. What I will miss is the political colleagues and amazing staff that I have had the opportunity to work with. I believe Malahide is in good shape as we meet new challenges of a post-COVID world. We have 2 new councilors. Welcome. Who will bring a new vision to Malahide in the next 4 years. And to those returning, congratulations. on your success. The election results tells me the residents are satisfied with the leadership around this table. I want to thank my family for their support over these many years. And Judy says that it's not just me retiring, she's retiring. As she stood up by my side after all these years. And she's been a huge help with the computer support. One of my duties is to recognize Max Moore. Max has had 54 consecutive years on Springfield and Malahide Council. I don't see anyone beating your record, Max. Max has sat on the Water Board, Community Policing, Springfield Family Fun Day, Santa Claus Parade, and the Community Complex. Max not only continues to carry the flag for Springfield, he is a rich source of information and history and events, helped you make council decisions. So congratulations, Max, and thank you for your many years of service. And of course, we have a presentation for you and Irma Jean as well. Come on up, Irma Jean. Once again, Max, from the feds, the province, and of course the township, as well as everyone assigned this with best wishes from everyone on council. So that's super. Except for the sad old guy daughter. Congratulations, Max. Here's a small gift. Thank you. Something for Irma Jean as well.
If we could put the two of you just before the two of them.
Go ahead, Irma Jean.
Okay. And look right at the phone and smile. Hey, Max can smile. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks again, Mike. Take that hold, Rick. Certainly, certainly. Anyone wish to make comments or? Rick?
Wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't have something to say. Going back first, I'll address Mayor Mennel. When you were talking about his list of accomplishments, you left out the fact that I think before council, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, you served on the tobacco marketing board as a committee person.
Yeah, I was there for several years as well.
Yeah, so not only serving township residents, but serving his fellow farmers. And so it's been a great inspiration to all of us. I remember when I wanted to run, and I think you were talking to my mom, and you had some encouraging words. The other thing I got to say about Dave was I do remember the first time he was on council. And yes, I was going to start surfacing the roads, and Nova Scotia line was already done. So the council at the time decided in their wisdom, they were going to do a road in the south and a road in the north. Well, the next road north of Nova Scotia line happened to be Vienna line. And we all know who lives on Vienna line. And I remember all of us neighbors who were putting up with gravel roads at the time were surprised to find out that Dave's road was getting paved. And hence his nickname after that was Paved with Dave.
I think
So-
we can't label that.
He did so. So anyways, I thought that was kind of funny too. So, but thanks for everything you've done for all of us. Well appreciated. And I don't know what else to say about you. As far as Max goes, I've been fortunate enough in my 2 terms of council to be sitting at the right hand of Max. Or Max is on my right hand, but come to realize that I was 10 years old when he started his service. And I'm a long way from 10 now. And but to both of you, I can say that, and I don't know who said it, I don't know where I read it, but they always said that the greatest service you can do to your fellow man is to serve. And both of you guys have done that with very exemplary standards. And I thank both of you for all you've done. Thank you.
Very kind. Max? Certainly.
Thank you. I'm very humbled and appreciative to have had the privilege and the honor to represent the residents of the former geographic village of Springfield and the residents of amalgamated Ward 2 Township of Malahide as their member of municipal council for the past 54 years. I also a very sincere thank you to my wife Irma Jean for her support and understanding during those 54 years. Thank you. And I wish to congratulate our new council members coming forward in the next term, we'll call it. We won't say year because I think there's 4 that could change, but in the next year. And wish them all a success and good luck that they can get. And this old boy can't hear too well, but he's still got a good eye, so he's going to be keeping an eye on the situation as long as he can. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've served on council with Dave since 2007. It is on. Can't hear me? Ah. Anything else I can do? Yeah, I know. Well, we didn't always agree. At the end of the day, we both could move on with the betterment for the betterment of the township, and that's what it's all about. Under your leadership, the township is being left in a good position, and that you should be proud. I want to wish Judy and yourself a great council retirement, and hopefully you have lots of plans to enjoy the time ahead. Thanks for your time and dedication. I have something for Max too. Max was the first one to welcome me back or to the council chambers in the year 2000. Remember that? I think I was 20 at the time, but I don't know. You don't remember either. Back when I joined, there'd been a bit of turmoil, and I mentioned that to Max. And he just smiled and said, things will work out. Because actually one of the counselors that was leaving that night, he said, oh, I don't know how you're going to survive with these guys here. Max was a great mentor for a new counselor. And from him, I learned compromise, patience, and fairness. This council will certainly miss your great memory about past events, but hopefully we can still draw on your history or your knowledge. I wish you and Irma Jean well in the council retirement. Your years of service will probably never be matched. I consider you a good friend, and again, thank you for your guidance over the past 22 years. Best wishes in the next chapter of your life.
You're most welcome. Thank you for yours.
Thank you, your worship. We'll start with Dave. I served under Dave on Malahide #1 Fire Department for, I was on there 15 years, but he was the chief for the term he was, and he was a good chief at that. The next time I ran into Dave, he actually came to me and asked me if I would represent the people of Malahide to serve on the complex board, which triggered me a little bit. And it was like, okay, yep, I think I can fulfill your needs. And thank you very much for involving me again. And that went okay. And then to serve on council, I've been to his house a few times for advice my first year. And Dave always had good advice. He never set me wrong. And he was always there on the phone call when I needed to know what I needed to know to make my constituent happy. So thanks for that, Dave. You've mentored me very well for where I've become. And I thank you for that. Max, I've had to call upon you 3 or 4 times over my first term of council. And I can say one thing for sure. Max made it very clear to me, because I believe I called 4, maybe 5 times. And Max made it very clear to me what his intentions were with my ideas, because there was once that Max did not approve of what I was going to do. And he told me that. He says, no, I cannot support you in that. And it was not the end of the conversation, but I knew where I was headed with that one. So, and I appreciated him for that, because at the time I probably needed to be told that, no, you don't need support on that, because it's not what's going to happen. So I appreciate what you've done, Max, and kudos to you for the 54 years. And I don't believe anybody else is going to match you.
Mayor Manel, I have known you and Max for many years, and it's always been a pleasure knowing both of you and working with both of you. And there's very little that I could add at this time, except wishing both of you a long and happy retirement. Thank you.
You have to get back to business. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just want to add a few words to Max, because I would say that is one thing that I observe and I am trying really hard to emulate, is how to use a few words and have a big impact. You're very good at that. And thank you for your service.
So the next is the IT service with Zuling and Adam.
Thank you, your worship. So as council will recall, we've following the departure of the township's IT manager, looked for alternative options and entered into discussions and ultimately an agreement with 3 other Elgin municipalities, and was directed to procure a third-party IT service provider. So nothing further to add to my report. We did go through the RFP process, and there's a committee established with representation from all of the partnering municipalities. We'd had 9 proposals received. 6 met the minimum score of 70% in order to be evaluated for costing. And through that last stage, it was Zuling Technologies of Rodney, Ontario had the highest score. So as per my report, recommending that the CAO be authorized and directed to take the necessary actions to enter into an IT service agreement with Zuling Technology Incorporated of Rodney, Ontario.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions for Adam on the recommendation? Seeing none. Mover and seconder, report number CEO 2215, entitled IT Service Agreement with Zuling Technologies, Inc. be received. The Chief Administrative Officer be authorized and directed to take the necessary action to enter an IT service agreement with Zuling Technologies, Inc. of Rodney, Ontario. Moore and Lindner, all in favor? Carried. And the next one is the CAO Restricted Acts Clause.
Thank you, your worship. And as you mentioned, there are some light refreshments waiting for outgoing council members' families. I'm happy to report that as per the bylaw, I have not had to utilize any of the clauses under the bylaw, the Restricted Acts Clause bylaw, as of the date of writing. I can report that still has not occurred, but the lame duck period still continues up until November 17th, that being the inaugural meeting of the next term of council. There will be another report stating whether or not I've had to utilize some of those clauses between that time period, but nothing further to report on this report.
Thank you, Adam. Questions for Adam on this one? Mover and seconder, report number CAO 2216, entitled Information Report, CAO Use of Restricted Acts Clause be received for information. Jager and Kalinsky, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have reports from outside boards. We've got one from the Elgin Police Services Board, May 11th. Any questions or comments? Mover and seconder for that one then, please. Jager or Lewis, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have correspondence, and there is 5 items for correspondence. Anyone wish to make comment? Mark?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to comment on number 2, the Ontario Energy Board notice. Looks like gas is going to be going up again. It looks like it's mostly attributed to the carbon tax. The $63 increase is a pretty big increase for anybody to absorb. So I guess we can comment or something on this if we want to, and I think maybe we should, because I imagine energy will be going, or whatever it's called, an M4 or whatever, it's going to be going up too. So it's going to be a costly thing anymore, and you have to have heat. So I'd like to support that.
Support number 2?
Yeah.
Anyone else wish to make comment on the balance? I want to make a comment on number 3, and this is the Bill 3 that gives the mayors new powers, and I think it might make sense for Ottawa and Toronto, but I'm not so sure it makes sense for Ottawa or for Malahide. And it takes away some of the power of council, so I would suggest that we endorse number 3 as well. Pardon me? Number 4. Okay. And Adam, you wish to make comment on number 4?
Thank you, your worship. So the item number 4 is the correspondence from the Central Elgin regarding a possible shared wastewater servicing. No real recommendations in that regard, except to support the idea in principle and allow staff and council of the township to be involved in the processes if it moves forward.
Okay, so 2, 3, and 4, anyone else? So recommendation is we endorse 2, 3, and 4 and receive and balance the balance. Linsky and Lewis, all in favor? Anything else under other business before we go to bylaws? Max?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received a concern this morning in regards to this building we're setting in regards to the eaves troughs. The gentleman said these eaves troughs need cleaning. We have trees or a forest growing out of them. And also there's somewhere on the building, I didn't have an opportunity to check, but there's an eave trough falling off. So we'll pass that on to the building committee to look after it for us, please.
Certainly, we can pass that
Maybe
on.
some gutter guard would be in order if you get them cleaned out. So thank you.
Staff will look
Yeah,
after that.
certainly.
Okay. Anything else under other business? All right, we'll go to bylaws. Mover and second of the bylaw number 2281 being a bylaw to appoint a community emergency management coordinator for the township of Malahide pursuant to the standards under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, RSO 1990. E9 is amended, be given a first, second, third reading and properly signed and sealed. Lewis and Serta, all in favor? Carried. This is the last chance for Chester for this term. Become up.
Chester,
Stand up and be noticed,
come
Chester.
on, you won't.
Mover and second of bylaw number 2282 being a confirmatory bylaw, being a first, second, third reading, properly signed and sealed.
Oh, Chester, 4 years.
Zelinski and Moore, all in favor? Carried.
8 years.
He's got a good memory.
The mover and second of council adjourn its meeting at 8:15 to meet again on November 17th at 7:30. Zelinski, Moore and I can't.
Career ended.
Career ended. Lewis, all in favor? Carried.
Been 8 years too.
Time for the younger generation to step up. Johnny?